Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another backtesting video. So we continue to perfect trading models, approach, understanding, experience of the trade, all of that good stuff. So we're going to pick up where we left off on that screen there. That's perfect. Okay, so we're going to continue where we left off. No trade the previous day, none of the outlined models that I was looking at hit, or certainly came to fruition. Was looking at the lows. We have that symmetrical low down there. Looking at the daily. Nothing really at play, although institutional order flow being bearish. So we've got outlined. We haven't really changed from our position in terms of. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, we're back. I think I had too many things open on my machine, and it was just creating. I just felt that we could potentially have some slowdowns. So we have this symmetrical price action. We can see our price is foraging towards the previous day's high. After appearing to respect the BPR, yes, we had a level of overhang here. However, we had obviously rejection, and the market is repricing higher. So nothing came to fruition. I'm going to play price on before we get into the analysis. I'm just going to hit the play button on the hourly. Machine is still running extremely slow. Sit back now. God, look at that. Why is this moving so slow? Okay, I've tried to close down a couple of extra things, but unfortunately it doesn't look like maybe it's a bit better, so we'll see. But okay, let's continue. So I'm going to play on price, 5-minute time frame. Let's see where we draw up to. Obviously Thursday is where I'm really looking for something, and we are at 3 o'clock, but you never know, the market may surprise us. NQ obviously drawing towards. As soon as we get to 4 o'clock, which we're there. So paused it here. We're going to fast forward now into Thursday, to the next session. I'm assuming all of them will probably likely purge. They may even do it during the London session. We'll see. Okay, so NQ has so we're going to get rid of some of this. There isn't too much to actually update the charts with, because the market consolidated within a range. So we are going excuse me. Slow here. Excuse me. Just drop out to the daily a second. Actually, instead of doing that, we can just move this up. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. We can drop back here. That gives us a better. So again, it's just how I grade my liquidity pools. Okay. So we've got a very shallow purge on NQ. Not necessarily something that, excuse me, it's not something that I'm looking at. We do have balance here, which is, we could say, supporting higher prices. So we're just going to mark that in. Okay, and we want to carry that across. Okay, so in terms of PD arrays, that's pretty much all. Oops. Bit of coffee. So I'm just going to venture back out. So we've got the 2 daily PD arrays. Sorry, 2 daily key price levels. Obviously the previous day is high from the previous week. And this is from so that we can very clearly see. Okay, so we have that in play. H4 is appearing bullish, but we'll have to treat that as we go. And what we're going to do now is get into the analysis. A lot of which hasn't changed, although I mean, even looking on the H4, finding support, I'm not massively yet looking at this as a shift in market structure, if I'm honest. So we're going to continue forward. So as far as I'm concerned, relative to the weekly and the daily time frame, so we're just going to jump out to the daily. Institutional order flow currently appears bearish. Okay. Oh. So relative to the daily and the weekly time frame, institutional order flow currently appears bearish, following the violation, or you could say disrespect, whichever, of the BC daily / weekly discount PDAs. And it is to a degree a high time frame displacement. It is to a degree. So that's also in favour and support. But for now, we'll leave it at that. But we will make the reference of old highs being manipulated whilst old lows are being displaced through, seeking lower prices. Okay. ERL, IRL. Now again, bearing in mind that the market is in a consolidation. So previously we had wrote how following the market purging down into the old, following the market purging the old high weekly and rejecting, has since traded down into the busy weekly. Yeah, my immediate attention will be to determine whether the market trades to and through or rejects. Either will be confirmed by a high time frame crack and correlation. So either trading down into this area here, high time frame crack and correlation, higher prices, then the intention would be this high here, most likely. Or if it trades to and through, then the likelihood is we'll see some form of retest and the market will want to trade down to this low. We've seen the rejection, but not coupled with the high time frame crack and correlation. So this kind of, if you will, still implies, bear with me. Apologies there. Okay, so ERL, IRL hasn't really changed as far as I'm concerned. So we can take the same narrative as we took the previous day. That sentiment hasn't changed because we're still waiting for the high time frame cracking correlation. Right now we're seeing symmetrical price action, which is fine, but for me it doesn't present an opportunity. Excuse me. Very clear in terms of what I'm outlining, what I want to see, and so therefore we just got to wait to see it. Okay, so SPs. I've noted the clean and clear swing point below the marketplace or below current price, referencing the previous day's low. Sorry, let's just drop to the H4 time frame. This has also formed below the true week open, where if purged could set the stage for higher prices. This is also where near-term liquidity would be residing. Now, admittedly, liquidity is most likely residing below this old low daily, but nonetheless, this is still a key price level where we could see a cracking correlation between these two areas. So that's important. So currently, TO or members are trading above their respective true week open, supporting the idea of lower prices. If coupled with then high time frame cracking correlation at the highs. Okay, so just got to bear that in mind. Cracking correlation, we've not noted one yet, so we're staying vigilant on the sidelines. And then we get down into the game plan. So based on the analysis of what we've seen so far, institutional order flow appears bearish. So cracking correlation at the highs could well support this large move lower. We've got a lot of liquidity below the marketplace as well, which we've emphasized. So it's quite plausible that we could see lower prices. There are upside targets above the marketplace as well, but again, it's going to be determined by where we see the high time frame cracking correlation form. That will be the first indication of where the market is likely to go. We then identify our H4 inflection points to ensure we either see symmetry or we see a cracking correlation, and that could support the idea of prices reversing. So we've got a few things that we need to just be mindful of. I'm going to drop down to the hourly time frame and just mark up any sort of key. Well, in fact, what we're going to do now is just skip forward to New York, like so. So interesting. That still looks to me like a real shallow purge, but it is what it is. If we get the reaction, we get the reaction. So, excuse me. So first things, let's get our key liquidity pools noted. So we have one here. So we'll grab that. This is in close proximity, very close proximity, so I'm not, in fact I am. I wasn't going to mark this up because the likelihood is if it trades there, it's likely to take out the high, if that makes sense. So so I was keen to not necessarily do that, but nonetheless, we've got a key low here. Please be the we have got a we've got a low here, but we don't have no symmetrical lows, so I'm not as keen. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it for the other two because it could be used for targeting at a later point. This actually occurred at 4, so there we go. Okay, and then we do have, which again I'm going to, in fact no I'm not, because it's symmetrical. Let's have a look. Okay, well here we do. Okay, so we can have right there. And this would be H1 there. Okay. And we've obviously traded to and through on YM, so we'll just sort of pay attention to that. YM certainly looks like it wants to purge its high, whilst ES is a considerable point away. So the other thing that we want to note is the fact that excuse me, the order block is technically here. So this one, it is all of them, mind, but that would actually constitute, if we're looking at it from this perspective, a 4-hour order block. Now that we've got the purge, right? I'm just going to okay, so because we've got the 4-hour, let's do that. It's better. We've got that. Excuse me. That's confirmed because we've seen this in here, okay, and then obviously traded up into. So that key price level could well be a trade. So inside of that, Apologies. Okay. Right, so we obviously have, as I said, this candle here, once it was confirmed, as in traded up, purge, so all of that, and then down. And obviously on NQ we saw a retest, so we'll just do this, like so. And just want to take that, put it over here, which is that candle there. So this now becomes rather interesting. Bit of coffee. Now, NQ, sorry, YM is sort of indicating something slightly different. Sorry, something I haven't noted yet, which I should have done, is how, technically speaking, this is, a Kraken correlation. It has been confirmed, so no need to emphasize it as. Oh dear. But we still need to wait. And no, not on there yet. Okay, so back to the hourly, and then we can sort of establish a game plan. So the obvious one would be which is interesting because let's just mark that up. Because we've already had the purge of H1 liquidity, right? Is the fact that, technically speaking, the market does not need to come back up and purge the London high. However, and also because there's the BPR in there, if the BPR holds, or if the BPR is to be true, should we say, then there isn't any reason for the market to essentially trade that high, right? There's probably a breaker in there as well, but I'm not necessarily that concerned about that. But with ES forming the lower high, there's a chance that we could see price go and purge. So technically speaking, model has formed. Okay, so we could see price trade back up into the H1 order block. We could retest that level, trade lower. We could certainly see that on ES and take the trade based on that. So okay, let's get into the crux of this. So with price being above the true week open, if we note an high time frame cracking correlation at the highs, then we could see lower prices. We could see lower prices. Now, the reality is, if we were to use this is the key high here, obviously. So let's, before we do anything, it's important to note we want an aligned, which is there. So this is important here. Where are we? Okay. That's a tad long, isn't it? Okay. Right. So I'm trying to understand what the hell is this one down here. I just get rid of that. That's that. Yeah. I got that. Okay, fine. So this is important here because if we get a rejection from this level, that is a H4 inflection level. So if we get a rejection from this level, then that ultimately is going to support potential higher prices. Now, admittedly, would much rather have preferred a cracking correlation here, but we haven't seen that. So to me, and there's no H4 liquidity pool, so to me we could still see lower prices. Okay, but we've just got to be mindful of that inflection point. Anyway, going back into here, so with price being above the true week open, if we know a high time for cracking correlation at the highs brackets, which we have seen, then we could see lower prices. So in terms of the entry, this could be at the retest of the bearish high probability OBH4 level. Certainly could be at the H4 level. Bear with me. Phone. So, oh Lord, apologies, folks. Apologies. Let me move this device somewhere. That's probably not going to work. Bear with me a second. Just pop it there for now. Okay, let's get into this. So yeah, we could at the of the H4 or bearish H1. So either of those two. Okay. So that's one option. The second option would be, depending on how the trade has been framed, and bearing in mind that the inception of the trade occurred during London, essentially. So with price being above the true week open, if we note the market reprice higher and form a low time frame crack correlation at the BSL London, this could set the stage for lower prices. Now, question would be, can the market reprice higher? Yes, it can. It can reprice higher, and if that was the case, and I mean, symmetrical purge of London is not the end of the world. Symmetrical purge of London would still form potential trades for lower prices because of the high time frame cracking correlation. But it does beg the question. We've seen, apart from YM, but let's just concentrate on ES and NQ. We have got confluences to support lower prices. So the question would be, if you were looking at ES, for instance, and let's just assume you thought, okay, well, H1 order block here, you're gonna have to have pretty large stop. 2 hours going to take you all the way down there, which is probably not necessarily saying that that's what you would want. Maybe you choose the rejection block here. I wouldn't advise that, but maybe you do. Wouldn't necessarily advise that. So we don't have any further liquidity pools above, so we're going to have to wait and see. We could engage the market early, but again, the question's going to be, well, where is the stop loss going to be positioned? In theory, this high that formed the SMT shouldn't be purged, especially with the BPR here. If that got purged, fine, then we take the loss and then we just wait, right, to see what the market wants to do. It's like we've got to accept the risk here, and that's one of the things that I've noted. We have to accept the risk and just get back in line, realign yourself. Now, if you are fundamentally wrong and the market just wants to reprice higher, then the market wants to reprice higher. You take your loss, you move on, you wait for another day, frame a trade. Okay, that's what we have to do. So they're the current two game plans that I'm looking at. I'm not looking at anything in terms of continuation to higher prices. Why? Because I'm not seeing yet a H4 inflection, certainly with ES and NQ. Okay, so we drop down to the M15. We want to mark up some now note I am interested in engaging at the H1 order block. I am interested, however, there is an element of, you know, with the BPR being there, certainly my stop to be above the BPR, but we'll see. There's nothing confirmed. I do want to look at some analysis on the M15. No, not that. That's that one. And we just want to get the equities opening as well. Okay, so we obviously had within here, I'm not too focused on the M15 inversion fair value gap, because we've had the BPR and we've had the hourly imbalance here, so that's not a focal point. Okay, I'm going to play price on then to the news, which is at 8:30, and I'm monitoring these price levels here as we encroach closer. Oh, that will. That's a bit early. We're gonna wait. It's certainly YM wants to purge that same high. Now, it's just too early for me to engage in the market, so I'm just going to wait. A bit of a consolidation here. Oh, look at that. Jesus, where did that come from? Now, you could argue and say, annoyingly, if you were looking at it from this perspective, H1 hit it sort of flush, would certainly be a BE. The question is does it get to 2R? So let's 44.75. What was this? Yeah, 44.75. We've still got news to come, haven't we? Okay, so we're approaching the news now. Here comes, oh, and we can obviously see that YM has purged. So bearing in mind that the trade would be at break even. Now I'm going to go out to the hourly because I want to see. We've got this order block here, and we've got that high's not confirmed. Let's just get this out for a second. High's not confirmed. Order block is in here. There's no order block on NQ, but this volume imbalance here does give the inclination of lower prices. We also have this is not, let's just monitor this. And let's just monitor this level. It's sort of high in there. Let's see where the symmetrical high is. There. And I just want to drop down to the M5 a second on. Yeah, okay. Okay, want to stay here. Going to drop this down to the 1 minute. Certainly waiting for potential shorts. We do have Kraken correlation at the lows here, so we're just going to have to wait till our time. So this is the news now. I'm going to start stepping in with the clicks. I'm not going to just play because it tends to overrun. So we've got 2 game plans. We did retest the H4 on both. We've got high time frame Kraken correlation and low time frame Kraken correlation. Certainly appears lower prices are now in the offering. The market traded up into the order block. Probably want to note that. However, it's not an aligned order block if we look at sort of this candle here, but we'll mark it up nonetheless. It's one of those I don't like to engage in trades outside of, but we had plenty of room to play with. But let's see. Let's go jump back to the M15. Certainly looks like lower prices are likely. M5 displacement as well. The problem with engaging here is, where do I put my stop loss? Now, technically speaking, if we looking at imbalances here, and this candle there, it's rebalanced there. It's just too greater of a stop loss for me to engage in here and seek lower prices. I think ultimately the entry was here, and it would have been pre-market. I mean, it would have been very much pre-market, and outside technically the rules of engagement in terms of let's just hit play. To be the market's weighted to go lower, so it's just not. into equities open, I have a feeling that equities open is actually going to drive the price down, unfortunately, and we're going to just end up missing out on this one. So I'm just going to check. We've still got potential I think that's H4, but these two have purged through. There's been no other H4, so I'd still be looking at lower prices personally. As I said, we've got an order block there, which I wouldn't necessarily look at. That certainly wouldn't be my entry, but if the market was to trade up into these two, I'd certainly consider engaging. So we're getting up to equities open. NQ, let's just have a look at NQ. It's driving towards that H4 order block again. Did NQ deliver 2R? Let's just have a look. H1 order block there, confirmed. So we can look at this one here with a stop loss at the high. It did. You'd have got your I mean, again, I mean we are looking at a London trade, so not necessarily what we look for. But anyway, we're getting to equities open. I want to just mark up some new liquidity pools. Okay, this one being there. This one we can close off. Okay. So now we're getting much closer to equities open. We can see a purge of this high. Now, do we have that as a high on ES and NQ? We do. It's overlapping with the order block. We do want to note it. It's making it a little bit messy in here, but hopefully you can still see what's going on. It's just important to make sure that we have all of these key price levels in situ. Okay, so we're now at equities open there. Want to see some, I'm just going to drop to the M5. I want to see some sign of the M5 wanting to trade lower. We've got the BPR, which is key. BPR is important here. So as you can see, sorry, that's not London, that's why confusing me. Okay, so I want to go back to the 5 minute. Just want to monitor what happens here between these three. Do we see a rejection of any sort, especially at the BPR? Currently no. So now if we're looking at NQ, sorry, ES, so I'm going to take out this liquidity pool here. I guess we can keep it in, but this is the liquidity pool that we're focusing on. But look at where YM's going to, which to me, I'm not so focused on YM right now. I'm focused more on the delivery between ES and NQ. That's what I'm focused on. I want to take that out and take this out for now, and I'm focusing to see whether there's any form of cracking correlation here. So stopped in its tracks at that high. We haven't seen confirmation yet on what was the high. 55.75. Looks like it's kind of similar. Okay, so it's not a purge. Okay, I'm going to engage the market short here. Now, I want to check the H1. We can see it's rejected from the BPR. So now, if the market is going to continue higher, it's going to go up to here, and we're going to invalidate. So, as far as I'm concerned, if we're going to go lower, now would be the time to go lower. If we're not going to go lower, then we take our loss. Has left relative equal highs, I'm not going to lie. That part I don't like. Let's give this. So I want to. So we've got both. Going to place order, sell the market. Save in journal. Just going to move this to the other screen because it's just in the way. I want to take a picture of that. So let's see what the market is going to deliver. Now I've got to monitor NQ, so let's just drop out to the hourly, because NQ is trading into this imbalance, which unfortunately NQ trading into, just want to mark up that. Have I not got a? Oh. So we're engaging here, and we're looking at this level. It's not looking massively favourable, but nonetheless, to not see higher prices. Want to see if we get a rejection of any sort here. Right, now I just want to, just because it's easier to, there is where we're sort of looking at. Would like to see a close of this candle. Cool. So version fair value gap, where are we? Remember, it's just a confluence, so we're not at that one there. There is a BPR, sorry, there is a small BPR, but again there isn't one here. Now we can see how this fair value gap here repriced into traded higher, so this is a market structure shift there, but again we just got to monitor price action. Let's see. So it's getting, and what we're looking at YM with this imbalance here is concerning. But remember as well, we've now got potential SMT here, which I don't particularly like either. And it was a shallow run above this high with a lot of stat liquidity here. So I'm not talking myself out of the shorts, it's just not looking as clean. We had the order block obviously with the manipulation here, so I'm not too worried, but we did reject, created these relative equal highs, and this is what's concerning, is if we get rejection there. So I'm going to stick on the M15 because we haven't moved away. There's obviously this imbalance here. Right, now I'll be honest, the market is running at, we're at 1.77. My rules is typically to move to break even at 1R. But with where we are, indecision candle sort of forming here, I'm going to want to see what this candle offers. If this candle closes bearish, I'm going to move this to... But if we start to see any bullish price action on this candle here, then I'm going to be keen to protect capital. Hold on. In fact, I'm going to protect the capital now, which is full. Just going to leave it a smidge above for now. So we're there. Okay. So what we're going to do, right, so we're going to move on. Perfect. Now I am happy to drop this. There, that'll do. Okay. So I just want to see. Just want to pop to the hourly. Okay, fine. I'll go back to the 15-minute. So what's that? 14.25. Okay, let's click through and see. I want to just check the 5 minutes, see how the 5 minutes forming. So the 5 minute now formed this BPR, which so I just want to mark that up. That's fine. Let's just make sure we have that. And then obviously we've got the imbalance, and we've got the aligned imbalance being this one here. So going back out to the M15, this could, you know, we've still just got to keep managing capital. Now I just want to drop back out to the hourly, so I want to see where is NQ drawing to, where might... So the BPR, so I'm looking now at the true week open as a potential next inflection point. We do have this bullish order block here as well, so keeping an eye on the inflection points though that matter to me is what's important here. Okay, so we're going to continue forward. The trade is now protected, so do we see a push further down, or market's coming back up? That's not good. It's not good because I'm looking at YM now, and YM certainly looks as though it wants to entertain higher prices. Let's just check it's... Yeah, YM certainly wants to... looks like it wants to move higher. So we've protected our capital. That's a good candle. I'd like to see this low get taken out and a close below, but I just want to go back to the hourly and see what we've got at the hourly. So we're at the 10 o'clock candle now, but that low has been taken out on NQ. So ideally I want to see some symmetry with ES wanting to take out that low as well, which it did. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Okay, so now I want to have a look at NQ just to see. So true week open, let's just drop, not M5, M15. Okay. So we're not looking to get greedy, just want to see what the true week open is. Okay. Oh 0725. So I'm just going to move this down to 0725, like so. And what I want to do is just move this back up to 2R, like so. If we get to there, we'll partial. Okay. So let's see. Trade is relatively safe. Want to bring down. Can't get. Oh, there we go. Let's just want to bring this down a little bit to the higher that candle there, and just going to leave that there for now, just so at least we take something from the trade. Give me a second. Interesting. Okay, right, so let's continue. Want to see if we get any follow through. It's good. Again, just want to go out, see what NQ is doing, what it's drawing towards. It's traded to and through. We obviously have this key price level here, so monitoring that as well. But let's continue. Okay, so that's kind of annoying. Well, yeah, that's annoying. Let's partial. Going to partial 75%. $75. Okay. Okay. So we've partial 75% at this level, which is a bit of a shame. So I'm just going to make a note. Okay, and just want to put that here. Just want to make that red. Okay, so there we go. And what I want to see is just a level of follow through down for the remainder, if we can. Just going to continue to should see a new 15-minute candle. What time? So, okay. Is it forming an order block? Just want to check the M5. Okay, so we're into this M5 imbalance here, but nonetheless, just keeping it on the M15. Liquidity pools on the left-hand side. Just want to check for any hourly liquidity pool. We're inside this hourly imbalance here. Okay, but again, I'm looking at H4. So I'm happy to continue. great candle, but we continue with the trade. So we're getting to where our trade execution window would close. We have partialed off some of our position. That's a pretty good candle. If we get follow through, which we haven't, does NQ want to continue lower as key? Okay, so I'm monitoring NQ to the true week open. Because again, if we were going to see, so we've got the order block here, we want to see a close below this candle here, ideally. We've seen a lot of rejection candles at the highs, and we're starting to see a bit of SMT at the lows. Now again, I'm not concentrating on that SMT because we're not framing it. We're not framing it off a liquidity pool, right? So what I would like to see is if we get what I'm going to mark up now is get rid of that. Put that in. If we see a trade and close below here, then stop loss can move down. So outside the execution window now, so we're just going to let this continue. I'm going to hit play. We'll just pause it if needs be. So relative equal highs there. Market seems to want to reprice higher, but we'll see. Want to see a push down. So now we're looking at this collection of candles here. We want to see a close below here, if we can. Bit of follow through on NQ would be nice. Oh, my PC is just... This is not the time for my PC to start struggling. Lord. Look at it. What is it doing? Apologies, folks, but let's get Task Manager up and see what's going on. Oh, Lord, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. That is just absolutely ridiculous. I think we're getting to times where a new PC is definitely in the offering. I mean, that is just massively, massively disappointing. There's no point adding any risk to the table. Oh, looks like we're still in. click through because, okay, so we're going, it looks like we're going higher. Well, we've got our stop loss in a good position. We've taken some profits from the market, so we want to see, that's not a bad candle. Monitoring, I'm still monitoring NQ. That's pretty good. Now again, I'm looking at that key price level. Get into the lunch period, whereby, yeah, I am gonna bring this down to that high. No, it's a bit premature, but NQ has tapped. The reason why is because NQ has tapped the true week open. Imbalance there, but it's not a symmetrical imbalance, so we'll just keep that going. I'd like to see a bit of follow through, decent candle. Now I like that. We've got a we haven't got a swing, so we want to see really this candle is responsible because this one. So we want to see, do we get a close below? We've got another few minutes to wait. That's perfect. So we can bring this down to there, like so. And I think now I'm just going to play it out. We're either going to take full profit or we get taken out at there. Okay, either or. There we go. Press pause. Superb. Superb. So we had that momentary glitch where we thought we'd lost our work. If we just expand this, close positions. So in total, 2966. Beautiful. Really happy with that. So let's minimize that. So if we just recap, we in terms of what did we wait for and so on, and why did we engage in the trade. So we obviously had the high time frame cracking correlation that we noted form during the London session. Market traded lower, confirmed the high probability order block. So that in itself formed the high probability trade scenario. Now, yes, you know, YM did this, but I was concentrating on ES and NQ at this point. So we had the high time frame cracking correlation. We dropped down to the hourly. We had confirmation of lower prices via this H1 displacement and the BPR on ES. We had the aligned displacement on NQ. So again, this is supporting lower prices. Market trades lower, purged through the London low, which is fine because it wasn't aligned. So we kind of expected that it would do that. Then we had equities open. Now, we deliberated about getting into the market early, but this is the reason why we have trade execution windows. This is why we stick to them. So stuck to the trade execution window, although I was tempted, I'm not going to lie. Stuck to the trade execution window. And if we drop down to the 15, and then we'll come back to the hourly. At equities open, market reprices higher. Trades back into the H4 order block and the H1 order block, which is this aligned levels here, and trades into the BPR, and it creates relative equal highs. However, the market, as we can see, rejects from the BPR. Now on the 15-minute, we reject and close back below. So this for me, and sorry, bearing in mind that it created relative equal highs at the London high, but NQ was not willing to trade this high at all. So that, to me, if we just do this to that high there, that to me was supporting the idea of NQ wants to trade lower, therefore ES is likely to trade lower as well. We see that rejection. We drop down to the M5. As soon as I saw this candle, this displacement candle here, even though we got in slightly higher, I was happy enough about the rejection. I was happy enough about the rejection, and obviously we saw this candle here on NQ. I was happy enough with the rejection. Therefore, to me, take the trade, stop loss just a little bit, a smidge above here. The market shouldn't go back to the BPR. If it goes back to the BPR, then we're wrong. Now, it's a case of managing the trade. Now, because of this, and with the potential H4 inflection point here, although for this to really be a true inflection point, we want to see some form of H4 liquidity purged as well to create, well, not so much. We could see the Kraken correlation here. That would have been fine because it was at the high level of the imbalance. It's if we sort of see the market purge through on one asset and not on the other, then we're looking for some form of liquidity to form a high time frame Kraken correlation at the lows. But we didn't get that because there was no H4 liquidity pool in sight. Again, if we check, as the market traded on NQ into here, the next H4 liquidity pool is down here. So we know that it's unlikely, especially if ES purges that level as well, then it's unlikely. So we knew we were on side. So now it was just a case of managing the trade down. I did take it to break even, slightly premature, but that was premeditated because I didn't want to see a reversal at that point because we were at a interesting level. Market trades down, we managed the trade, we partial here, probably, unfortunately partial a tad early. Would have liked to have seen it get down to 2R and then partial, but that's fine. And we could have probably extended that maybe a smidge more if we wanted to maybe 2.6 or something like that if we really wanted to. But we did. We took the 2.5. Market then displaced lower. It was just perfect. Confirmed this order block here where we knew we must be on side. This candle trades up into the imbalance, rejects, and then down to take profit. So really happy with that trade. Really happy with the analysis. So we can see how essentially it was a mixture of game plan 1. It was primarily game plan 1, which that's a bit of a mixture of game plan 1 and game plan 2, but ultimately we were on the right side of the market. We took the trade, we executed, we saw what we wanted to see. We executed the trade, and yeah, happy enough with that. So hopefully you took something away from today's episode. Really happy with how this one went. Hopefully this is the foundation for many more of this type of trade, and even better, even cleaner trades. We waited for Thursday. We thought that Thursday was going to present something. It did. So again, really happy with this. Hopefully you took something away from this, and I'm going to leave this one here. And guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one.